Welcome to Talk Dirt to Me, where two farmers shatter myths and take on the top issues facing America's farmers. Here's your hosts, Logan and Bobby Lea.
What's up?
Yeah, another good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever you prefer, whatever time you're listening preferences are.
Yeah, whatever it may be. Yeah, we got a good one for y'all. Actually, our most requested guest. How does that make you feel?
Well, it makes me feel pretty good, I guess.
Yeah,
you know,
we get a lot of good feedback. We've had several guests we've had on, and people are like, "Man, y'all need to have so and so back on." And honestly, people ask to have you back on more than anyone.
Well, I appreciate that. I enjoy doing it with y'all.
Well, we
enjoy listening too.
Yeah, we have a good time having you on. Now, our loyal listeners will probably already know who we're talking about, but you got to wait a second to find out who it is. First, we need you to hit that like button, hit subscribe, leave us 5 stars, and like I've always said, go to talkdirtpodcast.com. Submit your questions on there on our contact page. We love to get messages and questions from you, and love to try to answer them as best we can. So do that on there. And if you're watching this on YouTube, hit the like button, hit subscribe, and leave us a comment below. So what else?
Check out agzaga.com. They're the good folks that are your online farm retail store. The discount codes, whatever you want to buy from them, whether it's the bayonet wrap, the Flexzilla hoses, the ag spray sprayers that Logan was talking about last week he needs to get, anything. Talk Dirt 20, that's $20 off, $50 minimum order, and free shipping. Free shipping even on the bayonet wrap. That big bulky ass item, you don't want to go to your local farm store and buy it because it's a pain in the ass.
Yep.
And it's probably a corporately owned store or whatever. This is still a family owned business right there in Missouri. They'll ship it right to your door for free, and even better than that, you get $20 off. Talk Dirt 20.
There you go. Do it. So yeah, we got our 3-time guest William Lea joining us tonight. Man, appreciate you being on the show.
I appreciate y'all having me.
Of course, man. Hey, so before we get into this, I got a question for you, William.
Okay.
Now, you have, like I said, you do listen to the show, but you're getting a sneak peek. So Bobby Lea goes out of town next week, so we're recording 2 this week. So we recorded last night.
Yeah, by the time y'all hear this, I should be just about back in town. But
yeah. So with that said, in our last episode, I talk about how I think a lot of dudes kind of crave, and I said myself included, kind of crave being an outlaw sometimes.
Absolutely.
And that's what I was going to say. Like, what do you, like, because I said, man, there's just something about it. I mean, I think that's why we're drawn to movies. Like, have you ever seen Heat?
I have.
That bank robber movie, that's one of the most badass bank robber movies.
Logan wants to kill a bunch of cops.
Yeah, so I made it clear. I was like, I'm not advocating killing cops, but there's something about, I said like running moonshine back in Prohibition would just have been, I feel like that'd have been so cool. So like, why do you think that is? What would you have wanted to be? If you could be, let's remove the moral compass out of the picture. You can be just any outlaw. What would William Lea outlaw look like?
I guess I always identified with like the Western, because and that was the big kind of, when I was a kid, you looked at the outlaws and they were so cool because they were on, like the outlaw
trains.
Yeah, robbing trains, and the outlaw Josie Wells.
Oh, yeah.
They were just that stoic character that was just nobody messed with.
Oh, yeah.
And that was one thing. And then, then you look at like the gangster, because they didn't, they looked like regular people, and some, they were just badass. They would kill you.
You talking like in the, Al Capone and all of them? Yeah,
the mafia type people.
Man, I love reading and watching stuff about them.
It's crazy.
It is crazy. Like, I mean, they would, to the point the military was like after them.
Yeah,
they were just ruthless as crap, and and they were, I guess they were basically an old time cartel is what you would call them. And but it's wild how they, it's a full blown corporation the way them things run. But
and I've often wondered, like, can you imagine the fear they instilled in people when, like, you had the lower people that actually did the work, and they were the they were the ones stealing or doing whatever, but they always had to pay the money up the chain. So the bosses they always got their cut because, and I was like, man, how do they?
The boss had to be a savage.
I mean, they just had to know. Had to be, because I mean, you have a guy that's a career criminal that he's stealing or doing whatever he's doing, but he knows he's got to pay his part to the bosses, or he's gonna get whacked, I guess.
And I mean, I guess the way they would do it was so medieval.
It was that distinct fear of like, oh, you don't mess up. No, it's no question. You pay it up the chain.
Yeah. I've always been kind of fascinated with the mafia, which Bobby and I, we've talked about on here. Some of these guys, I'm like, they're a prime example of they should have quit when they were ahead.
Oh, absolutely.
Like all of them. They just get to making like Pablo Escobar.
Well, that's what I got really into all that. Read a bunch of books and watching all the documentaries. Like, man, like he was on the Forbes, like list of 40 richest people in the world or whatever. Like, had so much money it would rot.
Yeah,
because they had obviously they just had cash. I forget how much money they were spending every month just on rubber bands
for the money.
Like, just get out, but they can't. And I mean, and I guess that time, he was, internationally known for what he was doing. And so, even if he had quit, I don't know if
he still probably
could have come to an agreement, like,
say, I'm out. There's no retirement.
I'm going to stop.
Yeah.
But he would have probably had to turn on some of the other cartels or something as a deal, and then that would have put a target on his head too.
I feel like if I was running like a mafia or something, and I got to like look at my bank account or whatever, look at my cash stockpile, and I've got $100 million, I think I'd be like, man, I think I can call it quits.
Just disappear.
Yeah, like I can live very happy. My generations of children will live off of this mafia money.
It's a little different. So. But I everybody fantasizes like, what would I do if I won the lottery? And I'm like, hell, I don't know what I would do. Like, I mean, because you can't just do nothing.
I'd go crazy.
You're like, I mean, almost like, do I just die? I mean, like you never need to work again. You almost can't work because, I mean, I guess you get involved like some charities and try to do some.
I'd probably start a business of some sort just to give me something to do.
I mean. But you almost just have to be like a silent investor in some ways, because people are going to.
You wouldn't want them to know that you had that kind of cash.
Right. They're going to be constantly showing up, and
And that's what they say, the ones that like really make big money, that they have to like totally change their lifestyle, because it's like everybody, family, friends, whatever, are always, and a lot of times they say that it's the best thing for them to do is move, get away. But, I always said, and I know this is, what would you do if you won the lottery? One time I told somebody, I said, I would buy me like a travel trailer, some super duper, like a Freightliner type thing, just all decked out. And I said, I'd go to Canada in the early fall, and I'd hunt ducks all the way down to Louisiana. And then when the winter was over, I'd start fishing in Louisiana. I'd fish all the way back up to Canada. And I said, but
just do that over and over and over.
Yeah, but you would have to like have a driver and some buddies, because you don't want to do it by yourself.
Oh yeah, you would have to have some buddies be like, hey, you guys, I'm just going to pay you a salary to be my buddies.
We're just going to hang out in my entourage. We're all, because you got to have it. I mean, what fun is it to go do all that by yourself?
No, I'm totally with you. You would basically be like, you're my buddies. You'd have to pick people that were your buddies before you got rich.
Oh because you'd have a whole lot of new buddies.
You would. Absolutely. Everybody'd want to be your buddy. But that, I don't know. I would probably just keep, at that point, I would farm for fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd just farm for fun. I'd buy like Island, 34 or something, and farm about 1,000 acres. And if I had a bad year, who gives a shit?
I need to write off.
Yep, I'd buy like all brand new 8R tractors. I'd have enough equipment to work 15,000 acres, be working about 1,000.
But have you ever watched, there was some show that was out one time, and they were talking about like these people that win the lottery, and most of them, after like 5 or 10 years, they're broke, like completely broke.
I don't know that I enjoy watching, but I've watched a couple of those documentaries. Yeah, they're all, like within 10 years, they're all either dead, in prison, or just flat broke.
Flat broke.
It's like crazy. It's like, oh man.
Well,
and obviously the ones they highlight in these documentaries are the ones that have the juicy story.
Oh yeah,
right. They did lose it all.
Well, when I have a bad year on the farm, one of the things that makes me feel better is I think about Mike Tyson.
Oh, absolutely.
What Mike Tyson blew like $500 million.
Shit, he's only one of a long list of, especially athletes that made hundreds of millions and then lost it all.
Yeah. So there's y'all's farming takeaway for our farmers that are listening. It could be worse. When you feel bad about those years where you're like, oh, I lost $100,000 or $200,000 or $500,000, whatever. Just remember, Mike Tyson and some of these other athletes, they've lost like a $500 million. Yeah. So it could be worse.
Awesome. Was it Johnny Depp that was like broke?
Yeah, Johnny Depp. Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage was broke.
Well, the good thing about being an actor is you can keep acting. Like these athletes, like, no, dude, you turn 30 and you're done.
Well, I think Tom Cruise is a billionaire, ain't he?
I think so.
I saw something. I think he's worth like $1 billion. Keanu Reeves is filthy rich. He made like, oh man, I was reading something about him in The Matrix. I think he made, it was like $200 or $300 million off of the Matrix movies because he got a portion of the profits.
Yeah. But they said that I watched this thing on Keanu Reeves. You talking about that the other day? But they say he still lives like a normal life, like lives in a regular house.
He's supposed to be a good guy.
Yeah, like a really good guy. He's like, it gives a lot of the money away. To charities, whatever.
Yeah. I think he held John Wick and some of these. He takes like a huge cut on his pay so that the other people can actually get paid good. Mm-hmm. Like, and not just the other actors, like the actual, the people doing the grunt work.
You're right, like the sound staff and stuff like that.
So, man.
Which, before we get way too far down the rabbit hole, of course, we mentioned we're recording early.
Yep.
And so, we're actually recording before last week's episode comes out, but we were kind of worried, like, well, what are we going to talk about? Doing it 2 nights in a row, and that's why we were very appreciative to have a guest join us. But actually, there was some breaking news that happened last night, probably while we were recording in the cattle world. So obviously, last week, or last night for us that are just sitting here, we were talking about the border reopening and, how it was kind of at the same time where they were like trying to food security is national security and all this. Like, which is it? Border's closed again.
Really? Why now?
More
screwworm?
Yep, screwworm.
Screwworm is now like 360 miles from the border.
I gotcha.
They detected it a little closer, so they shut her down again. So it just all goes back to like, this was stupid to begin with.
Yeah.
That y'all were going ahead and reopening. One port reopened on Monday, and on Wednesday night, it was
shut back down.
I saw it first thing this morning when I was kind of scrolling my phone like I always do for what happened overnight
well, when this episode drops, that'll be old news.
It's a week, it's about 9 days old by now, but so now I would expect the border's probably going to stay closed for a while now because they just got to be like, all right,
it'd probably be wise.
The point? I mean, we reopen it and then immediately have to close it again, so whatever.
Well, man, I don't remember. Have we had you on in 2025?
No.
It's been a little longer than that.
Well, actually, that's right. Yeah, because you hadn't been since we moved the studio. All right. Well, what's your take on where ag is right now? People appreciate. I'll tell you, man. People appreciate your takes on where they are, and I mean, hey, you've been listening. I haven't been sugarcoating nothing, so I'm just curious, man. What do you see?
Okay.
For people that have not heard William yet, he's our crop insurance man. And he's been in the game for a long time, farmed for a long time, taught ag for a long time, and now is a crop insurance guy. And so he's my crop insurance and Bobby Lee's. So, that's your quick little rundown. Now, there you go.
All right. So a little ag news, and it's kind of old news, but also new news. So last week, the government, USDA, dropped that they were going to facilitate it's really the second part of the money we received back in March.
Yeah.
And actually that was fully funded in the Biden administration, right as they went out. They came and said, we're going to give $30 billion to emergency funding to agriculture.
Yeah.
The first round of payments came out as a direct payment. Basically, it said, if you farmed, this is what you're going to get. And
it was like $33 an acre for beans.
Something like that. It was basically a per acre price, per commodity. So that left about $20 billion for the government to say, okay, so here we are in July. Last week they dropped, and it's got some kind of acronym, emergency, something, whatever. It's another payment. So they came in, they said, hey, we've got this thing figured out last week. We're going to start sign-ups on July the 7th. July the 7th came out, no. Yesterday, they did a press release, and this is what it always just, and it's just the way with everything. So yesterday they dropped, sign-up start on July the 10th.
Yeah.
You know, we've got this thing figured out. This is what we're going to do. Go, you know, we're going to mail out a pre-filled form to you. You can sign it, send it back, or stop by your local FSA office. I just happened to be in there today, and I said, "Hey, what about sign-ups? We're not signing up."
Oh, hell, they're not.
Well, they hadn't got fully trained on it yet. Our local FSA office, the guy, the head guy in there, he said, I've been going through like a web whatever cast or whatever webinar. They're teaching us, you know, we're going through the booklet, we're doing this. We have the application, and if I guess if you really wanted to, we can sign you up, but we really don't know what to do with it. They can't tell you how much you're going to get paid. They don't know, you know, and it's some stuff floating around here. And I said, why do they do that to y'all? Why do they come out here and say, we're going to start sign up on this day?
We're not going to prepare you ahead
But
of
we're
time.
not going to prepare you. We're not going to let you know. And so then we're going to drop the bomb and put it all over social media, put it on our webpage, do everything that we can to spread the news. And then when your local office gets flooded with calls with people asking about it, you're not trained and you can't tell them anything.
Yeah.
They're like, I don't know. And they do it with this is not the only program they've done it with.
And I feel bad, and that's actually where I'm hesitant at this point to give any grief to FSA.
Right.
Because a lot of times they're just handed the shit sandwich and like expected to be able to roll with it.
Don't give the actual, you know,
the workers there.
Yeah, the boots on the ground in the office, hell, but yeah, the organization, like,
it's like, you know, it's the, and you know.
So what about the pre-filled things? Are those coming out?
They were supposed to be mailed out today, and you will get your pre-filled thing, and you can, you know, they said, well, if you really want to sign up, we can sign you up, but we really don't even know what to do with them yet. You know, how.
Well, me and you had texted back and forth, because I had seen this article about it, and I just, you know, damn the government, they make everything so complicated. the way the formula for calculating the payment, it's like it's 90% of your like guarantee, and then it's 35% of the remaining amount that's not, like they subtract however much your insurance payment was from that total, and then you receive like 35% of that.
So, all right, basically what they've said. So crop insurance, as you well know, you can buy up in different levels of percentages. All right, so I
want to come back to that. I'm gonna make a note.
The way I understand it, it's a 90% level. So most crop insurance, I think you can buy up to 85%. I think if you have some special circumstances, most of it's the highest you can buy is 80. Yeah, 80% of your APH. So for simple math, we're going to say you have 100 bushel APH. You buy 80% on that. You get guaranteed 80 bushel. Yeah. If you have a revenue policy, it has a price that is that price times that many bushels, and it gives you a price per acre. Yeah. Now the confusion gets in. It says, well, I didn't get that per acre. It doesn't matter what you got. That's the price that's set. What you sell yours for, what you do that under a revenue policy. Now there are some other policies that take that into consideration, but on a revenue policy, it doesn't take into consideration what you actually do, other than your production. Yeah. So the way I understand it, it's going to take your APH. Well, your guarantee, and they're going to bump it up from whatever level.
Tell people what APH is.
APH is your actual production history. Yeah. So, and it goes like a 4 or 5 year average, however long you
so
know, whatever.
Your yield
over a period of time. So they're going to take your APH, and they're going to take the price, which, say for 2024 of soybeans, I think was $11.55.
Yeah, a lot better than it is now.
Right. So they're going to take that, and they're going to say, okay, then we're going to give you, if you had a 100 bushel guarantee. 100 bushel APH, not guarantee, APH. Yeah. They're going to do 90. So now you get 90. But then they're going to come in here and they're going to say, okay, so we got your expected minus your actual. Okay, so this is what I actually did. And they had your APH because we have turned in our yields on that. So they're going to take, this is what I did. This is what I expected. This is what I made. Then we're going to subtract what insurance you already got paid. Yeah. From that, and then we're going to add back the premium you paid, and we're going to add back any administration fees. And then there's another factor if you had a prevent plant. So if you had a prevent plant, say you prevent planted corn, and then you planted soybeans, they've got to factor into that. And then there's another factor, and gets all that. And so that says, okay, then I'm eligible for, we're going to say $100,000.
Yeah.
Then it's multiplied by the payment factor of 35%. So if you're eligible for $100,000, you're going to draw actually $35,000, and the other, $65,000 is going to sit out there. If there's money left over, they'll issue another payment.
Yeah, there's supposed to be a stage 2.
Right.
But now it's for uncovered losses.
Well, yeah. So once this $16 billion it's either going to be used up, or they'll come back and there'll be a second payment on this phase 1.
Yeah.
Then phase 2 comes along in September and says, if you had a loss, but it was not enough to trigger a crop insurance loss, you can fill out some other, which is to be determined.
Yeah.
Some other forms or whatever. I'm like, this is like, and so I was talking to a good friend of mine he's predominantly irrigated last year, and he does not buy very high crop insurance. And I sell him his crop insurance. He buys cap coverage because he's 75% irrigated.
So he can control most of his water.
He can control a lot of stuff. So he said, so I'm not going to get anything. I said, nope, not on this first round, because it's only for people that got an indemnity. He said, so they're penalizing us for doing well.
Yeah.
I said, yep. He said, so I spent a lot of money on management and tools and on my operation to make it efficient. He said, but I still lost money just like everybody else.
Yeah.
Because it cost me more money to operate.
Oh, shit, yeah. Pumping that water is
pumping
costing
water
a bunch.
and doing all this kind of stuff. He said, so I'm more efficient. I make better yields, so I don't trigger a crop insurance claim, but I still lost money because of the price difference. The reduction in price, because they also don't know. So like in 2024, we have what's called a spring discovery price. They have a period of time. They average it all. And they come up. It was $11.55, which is still low.
Yeah.
But it was our fall price. They do it again during harvest. They'll average out the price was I think 10.05.
Yeah,
or 10.04.
sounds about right.
So we lost like $1.50 in like a 4-month period of time.
Yeah, and none of us expected that. That's where. That was my thing, because coming out of 23, we were getting $14.
Right.
And so then I remember going into January of 24, and it was like beans were in that mid 12s. And a bunch of us were like, well,
I'm not going to sell that.
Yeah.
I mean, I sold beans last year for $13.50. I'm not going to sell them for $12.50.
And we were like, everybody expected that spring rally.
And in the spring, it just kept going down.
Good God, it just kept going down.
Our price discovery is from like February to March, like mid-February to mid-March, and it came out the crop insurance price was $11.55. Now here's the fallacy. We had this conversation today. What do you do when your crop insurance price level is still below your cost of production? That's, I understand the philosophy of it, but so you cannot even guarantee yourself. I mean, you're not trying to guarantee yourself a profit. You're trying to keep minimize loss, and it's a risk protection to keep us from going, say, belly up or broke.
Yeah.
But when the guaranteed price that you got is below your cost of production, and you did the absolute best and everything was great, and you got everything like, we're still below cost of production.
Yep.
So, and what is the answer? Could I call up the Secretary of Ag and say, hey, this is what you should do? I really don't have it.
Yeah.
I think they're doing the best thing that they feel like they can do. Now, which is good for me in my business, is they're coming in and they're saying, we're subsidizing crop insurance. We feel like this is a good tool to help you with your risk protection, and we're promoting that, and we want you to do that. Same with cattle. It's the same with whatever we're doing. We're giving you some risk protection on there.
Yeah.
And we're subsidizing it for that to be done. But what happens when that, we get to the point? So then what we've got to do now is we've got to invest and find some market.
That's what I was going to say. We can't be so reliant on payments.
No.
I mean, it's not a pleasant place to be, and as the farmer, to be like going into a year like, oh God, I hope they give us a payment. If I don't get a payment, I'm done. I mean, that's not a good place to be. And and that's what I hate, how complicated they make it. Like that's the one thing I will say about the first payment they did, like whatever at the end of last year. It was like, you're getting this much per acre, and it's like, okay. That's at least I understand. And so this one, because I took the article I read, because it was confusing as hell.
Yeah.
And I sent it to ChatGPT. And I said, explain what this means. Like, how much will I get? And I kind of sent it some numbers roughly. I'm like, here's kind of where I was looking at from 2024 or whatever. And I said, kind of explain. And it was actually saying that I might get $5,000.
Probably.
And that's where I'm like, and I asked ChatGPT, I said, well, what is the point of that? And it said, from ChatGPT, this is AI's perspective, it said that it's a posturing thing to where we can be like, we're helping the farmers.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Yeah, look at us, we're helping the farmers.
And I don't care what political party or what political affiliation that you're with. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So this money originated under the Biden administration, under the Democratic administration. It's being issued by Trump's administration and a Republican.
Yeah.
I am so sick, and I think a lot of the American public and people are so sick saying, and it says this in the USDA Post. We got this money out faster, within X number of months. It's been faster than any other, than the Biden administration, da 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 da. I don't care.
Who cares? Yeah.
I don't care. Tell me, and I have emailed some people on political people before when I've been asked to, from like the Crop Insurance Association or whatever, and I get on the email chain, and I love the email chain. We're up here when Biden's administration, we're up here trying to fight the Democratic Party and Nancy Pelosi. But I don't care about that. Tell me what you're doing to help me.
Yeah.
In West Tennessee, tell me what you're doing to help me in West Tennessee. Period.
Yeah.
And with the big thing with Trump's new bill that came in, it's a lot of really good things in there. But one of the things that he really tried to do, and I admire this, is he said, I don't want a bunch of add-ons. I don't want somebody here saying, okay, if you vote for my bill, then I'm going to fund this bridge over the Mississippi River for you in West Tennessee. Put it as it is. If they need a bridge over the Mississippi River, put that in there.
Yeah.
Let's vote on that separate.
That's what we've said. Why can't we break it down?
The omnibus bills, because there were some good things in there. There were some actually absolutely stupid bullshit in there, like there always is.
But it's that political gerrymandering of coming here and say, Bobby Lee, if you're like, well, I don't know if I'm gonna vote for this or not. Well, I know you need a prison down there in West Tennessee to help so many jobs and do this. How about we put if we move this federal prison from Indiana to West Tennessee? Will we get your vote? Well, yeah. And the West Tennessee people do benefit from that. I get it, and I'm perfectly fine with that. But
the bills don't need to be 1,500 pages long.
Look, I read the thing. I pulled it up on the internet because everybody kept hearing on the news, the big beautiful bill, I'm not a lawyer, but I consider myself of average intelligence. I couldn't. I sat there and I had to go back to like a ChatGPT thing that it broke it down. What are the main? It was like maybe 10 or 15 talking points in there. So the big thing that they put on there is no tax on tips, no tax on overtime. Well, it's a specified period of time that's going to happen, like 6 or 8 months, or I don't know, maybe longer than that. I don't know, but it was a time frame. It was not we're waiving tax on tips. It was
gotcha.
We're going to take we're not going to tax tips for this period of time.
Yeah.
And we're not going to tax
why
overtime.
Why they not just blanketed it in there? See, and I was bummed because originally when the bill was introduced, they were removing silencers, short barrel rifles, and short barrel shotguns. They were no longer on the NFA list.
Yeah.
So you didn't have to have the tax stamp in order to buy them. And
which now the tax stamps are free, right?
Well, are they forever, or is that a limited amount of time?
I don't know, but you still got to wait to get the stamp.
Yeah.
'Cause that's my whole thing. The money's one thing, but it's the time. Like, I've never...
Which it's a lot faster now. When I bought my first suppressor, it was a year.
I waited for one. It was like 370 days. It was almost a week exactly over.
That's how mine was. I had forgot I ordered it. And then I got like a call and they're like, hey,
I was the same way.
Your suppressor's here. And then you're like, oh, hell yeah. Then it's like a Christmas time.
Oh,
man.
yeah. The gun store was calling me and I recognized, it popped up on my phone. I was like, my dad and I have the same name. I'm like, they're calling him because he ordered something.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, you probably look. You're like, no, you're suppressor. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah. Yeah. You forget that it's even been ordered. So it's but now they e-file now, and from my understanding, it takes like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty fast.
I know a boy that got one.
Stupid,
But, and I'm all for it. Look, I'm not a big person. I'm not going to sit up here and beat the gun control or the non-gun control or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't think that, we have to have a license to drive a car. We have to have a license to hunt. We have to have a license to spray certain chemicals.
Yeah.
We have to have a
And
license.
that's also dumb.
But,
Right?
Oh, I agree.
It's
hey,
a
man.
way. I say it's a regulation in a way or whatever. So what if we, if they want to have a license, but if I can have a license on a firearm, then I should have a license to. If I'm proved worthy that I can, if I can go get my license, just I can get my driver's license and automatically renew it every time, then I should be able to get a license to buy a firearm and be able to come in there and show them my license and buy anything I want to that day. Not have to go through a screening and do this and do that. And
Yeah. Oh, and I'm like, I'm probably like on the fringes. I'm like die hard 2A. Like, I've always said I feel like I ought to be able to
I
go.
think the Bill of Rights is our license.
I was gonna say I feel like I ought to be able to go to the grocery store and buy a gallon of milk and an M60 belt-fed machine gun. Like, but
if you can afford it and you want it, yeah, why not?
Yeah, and I get tickled on it. I don't know, man. But that was one of the elements that was in the bill, and then it was too radical for some, so they had to pull it out of the bill. And I did get tickled. They actually had to read the bill on the floor. Mm-hmm. I can't stand Chuck Schumer, but he knew what he was doing. He passed a motion. He was like, "I make a motion that the bill be read in its entirety." I think it took him. It took like 17 hours.
it was like 1,500 pages.
Yeah, somebody, and it was hilarious because the dude goes up behind him and he's like, "Okay." So,
well, it's so much waste in our government. It's so much waste in our time.
if they made them, I would love to run, and I'd be like, I'm gonna pass a motion that every bill has to be read in its entirety on every issue, like whatever.
And the person that proposes the bill, or
they got to read it.
They got to read it.
Yeah.
You got to get up there and read the whole bill.
I guarantee
sell
you.
us on it.
Yeah, I guarantee you they would shorten them damn bills.
So, and I asked a guy, a politician one time, I said, "Look, who writes this shit?"
That's what I want to know.
I said, when do y'all have time to write? Oh, we have staffers. They have lawyers and staffers that are law and this law, and they write this shit. And in the insurance industry, I tell you, the lawyers ruin the world. Somebody asked me the other day, we had a issue in Haywood County where some 2,4-D damage on cotton. And they were talking about, they said, well, one of the farmers said, well, the chemical company ought to pay. I said, it's one person that's not going to pay, and it's the chemical company.
Yeah.
And he said, well, they shouldn't be one paying. I said, look, they got lawyers that work for lawyers.
Yeah.
I said, so they're not going to pay. I said, they've got that label on there. They're fully vetted. They're fully, their liability is covered.
Yep.
And I said, lawyers, I have a nephew that's a lawyer. I have an uncle that's a lawyer. Lawyers ruin the world.
They do.
They can make something so complicated that should be so easy.
Oh, I got that on I got a couple farms that the landowners passed away, and it has passed down, or they got a company that's overseeing it.
Yeah.
And look, I'm a simple guy. Like, typically when I lease a farm, I send them it's literally a one piece of paper, and it'll say and it has my name, and I'll say and I'll have a slot for their name, and it'll be like, agree to lease so and so farm. I'll have the farm number, and I'll have the county that it's in, and then I have how much I'm going to pay them, when it's due, and the duration of the lease, and then we both sign and date the bottom, and that's it.
That's perfectly legal and perfectly binding. And but I have some.
Oh, the lawyers
that'll send them. What do you think about this contract? It's 5 pages long.
Yeah,
and it's got. I'm like, why? And let me tell you something else. So I had a conversation with a guy that I managed some farms for, and he asked me, I said, what good is that contract? And he said, what do you mean? I said, okay, your farmer, it benefits the farmer. The farmer knows he's got it for a specified period of time.
Yeah.
I said, but let's say he has a 5-year contract, and he goes broke or after 3 years.
Yeah, they can't force him to farm it.
No, I said, so you can say, well, I have a contract, you got to pay me my rent. Well, he's not farming anymore, and more than likely he's either bankrupt or close to bankrupt.
Yeah.
So you can't get blood out of a turnip.
Yeah.
So I said, yes, we have. Sometimes it's better to have, and there's some special provisions I have on some that they don't want any hunt, they don't want to allow any hunting, or they want to, they don't want it to, some things I put in some of the ones I do, no subletting, those kind of things, and if that's what you so choose, then you put that in, those kind of things. But it's simple. Say, hey, no subletting of the lease, But if the farmer goes broke and says, I don't want to farm it anymore, what are you going to do? Oh, you got to pay me my rent.
Yeah.
No,
and I would think that should be pretty simple. They should rent it to somebody else.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe one reason he went broke is he was way overpaid on the rent.
May have been. And he can say
they can't find anybody else to save $300 an acre rent.
We've had the conversation. Unfortunately, there's always a dumbass to step into the place. Mm-hmm. That's what I guess yesterday, I was having this conversation with a good buddy of mine that works in the ag industry, and we were talking about land prices and rent prices and stuff, and he was like, the problem with it is the landlords are used to getting that money, and so, from a landowner's perspective, I understand that. Like, I get it. That's what you're used to. And a lot of them, if they're removed from ag, then they don't really understand. And so, but what kills us, and I've said many times, farmers, we shoot ourselves in the foot.
Absolutely.
Because it's like, man, all of a sudden prices get great. And it's like, oh, I'm going to go rent the world. Joe over here he's paying $200, I'll pay $250. And they just keep going. And then prices tank, and that same guy goes to the landowner and he's like, hey, man, I can't pay $250 anymore. Can we lower that? Oh, no, I don't want to lower that. And so then they just start shopping around, and some other doofus will step in there and be like, oh, yeah, I'll give you $250 for that.
So we were talking about this today, like on one of the many phone calls I've had about these new government payments, whatever. And it said, back in the 80s and the 90s, we had a direct payment. And what you had base acres. So you would have like a 100-acre farm. It may have a 75-acre cotton base and a 10-acre soybean base or whatever. A corn base, maybe a 5-acre corn, whatever it was. And you got a payment based on those base acres.
Yeah.
And it went with the farm serial number. So let's say I had a farm serial number. Let's just say it had a $30 an acre payment that went with that farm.
Yeah.
So you would think, okay, if I pay $100 an acre for it, I'm really paying $70.
So you got that every year?
Yeah, you got it every year, regardless.
Okay.
You got it in March or whatever. So you'd think, hey, I'm getting $30 an acre. So really, my rent, if I'm paying $100, my rent's really only $70. What do you think the farmer did?
Pay $130.
I pay $130.
Yep.
It's the same thing. The last time when we got a series of payments, we called them Trump payments.
Yeah.
When
MFP.
We got those payments, and you can go back and look on, and that's one of the things that put the farm economy in the way it is now, because at that time we sustained pretty good market prices, and we had pretty good crops. So, and then all of a sudden we were getting $15, $20 an acre on top of that.
Yeah.
We're buying combines and pickup trucks and tractors and everything else.
Oh yeah, all your inputs went up. Yeah,
and all your inputs went up.
Dude, the year, what was it, like 2 years after that? I think it was. I paid my fertilizer bill was 3 times the amount of what it normally was.
We looked at something the other day. I have a customer that has traded combines, and he had a cycle where he was trading. He'd buy a combine, run it a year, and trade it.
Mm-hmm.
The first one he bought, I think, was 5 years ago, maybe 4. It was $440,000.
Yeah.
Okay. John Deere S670 or something like that.
Yeah.
Last year, the last combine he traded for, $780,000.
I was gonna say, I was figuring,
almost doubled in 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there, and I understand the price of everything's gone up. I understand this, I understand that. So, and I think the sentiment in ag right now is like, we got to have a payment. We've got to have some support. We got to have something, or we're not going to survive.
Yeah.
And it's the sentiment across the country. You cannot continue to produce below cost of production.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are.
You know what I wish we could see? Me and Levi were talking about this with my son. Like, he's 7, so he's got a lot of time to figure out what he wants to do. But if you asked him right now, man, what do you want to do? He like, I want to be a farmer. And it's like, why? Well, that's what Dad does. But I told him, I said, no, what you need to do is you need to figure out a way to start an equipment company that can build equipment that's affordable for a normal farmer.
Sure.
Like, we're going to build equipment and a nice combine that'll do everything you need it to do, $100,000.
Yeah.
And you're going to have new bearings, you got new shaker arms. Now, you ain't going to have a heated and cooled seat that massages your ass.
You don't have a cooler over here where you can keep your Cokes and your lunch in.
Then you can go buy you one of them little igloos for $20 and stick it in the cab. Like, it'll have heat and air, and it'll run like a dog, and it'll like good. It'll run good, and but it's capable. It'll do what you need to do.
Yeah.
And tractors. I was like, man, make a tractor. You can buy a new tractor for $60,000-$70,000.
Yeah, I mean, I understand.
It ain't happening.
No, it ain't. But man, damn.
I mean, it's just like, trucks. I drive a Ford truck, so you have,
He's got a little gay in him. We let him slide on it.
Just the Chevrolet guys out there. We're built Ford tough. But anyway, you take a Ford truck, and it's you have the XLT, the XL, the whatever, all these models. Why can't we do tractors the same way? Why can't I go to the dealership and say, look, I want.
They've got a little of that on the
smaller tractor size,
on the utility size. Yeah,
they really do. And
so I did see that.
I mean, they still ain't cheap, but
no.
I can tell you the difference. So Dad leased last year. They leased an 8R 340. Mm-hmm. It's the nicest tractor I've ever been in my life. It was like the anniversary edition. Oh. And it literally massaged your ass and your back. I mean, it was awesome. I love driving it. I used it to pull a turbo till over like 40 acres, and I didn't want to give it back. My 8420 that I had at the time, the seat was broken in it, and so like I got out of this Cadillac and got into my rough riding 8420. But that tractor, the 8R 340, it had leather seats. They were heated and cooled. And it was 400. Now, it was used slightly, had like 400 hours on it. And I think they were asking like $460,000 for that tractor.
Sure.
This year, they leased an 8R 310. And it's still R series, but it's like the base model. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have the IVT transmission. It's just like an old one where you got to click it up. And the seat, it's just got a plain Jane seat. Oh, it's still, you get in it, it's like nicer than anything I've had. But the base model, how much cheaper do you think it is?
$40,000, $50,000.
You're almost dead on it. It's about $409.
Yeah, it's not.
So it's like,
all that
don't
stuff
even
really
make a difference.
but it's like, what's $40,000 when you're talking about $400?
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, why can't they have base models? And used to, red stuff was kind of like, Dad used to tell me, like, the old red tractors, he said, that's kind of like your cheap horsepower. Mm-hmm. Hell, that ain't even the case no more. Red ones are just as expensive.
So, in the conversation I was having today, multiple times, whatever, one of the conversations we had is he said, what do you think? I asked him, what do you think they need to do? And this was from a customer. It wasn't the same first one I talked to that was talking about the crop insurance side. So I'm not going to get a payment. This next guy, I said, well, what do you think about it? He said, this is just a Band-Aid. And I agree, it's a Band-Aid. I said, what do you think? We got to create markets. I said, how? What do you think? He said, I tell you what I think we need to do. I think if China sends a truckload of electronics over here, iPhones over here, a boatload of, whatever, then they should have to send back a boatload of soybeans. And I said, I agree. Yeah. Dollar for dollar.
Yeah.
If we're going to trade with them, they trade with us. And I said, but the problem is, and I'm not just talking about agriculture, the American public is so far removed. I'll support it as long as it doesn't affect me.
As long as I don't have to pay more.
Right. As long as it doesn't affect me. I'm all for the American farmer. Let eggs go up because we had avian flu, whatever. Yeah. It's like, well, man, that's the government needs to do this. The government. It's a naturally occurring thing. It's supply and demand. When you have chickens that die, you're not getting eggs. So the supply goes down, demand's still there. Price goes up.
Yeah.
So and I get but it's the American public is like, as long as I'm all for them, as long as it doesn't affect my pocketbook.
Yeah.
But as long as I can go buy my new $1,000 iPhone, and I use that as an example. But as long as and I'm all for trade wars but man, you know what? I broke my iPhone. I went to go get me another one. I couldn't get it because of the tariff. We got to do something.
Yeah.
But we all have to, as American public, we have to stop the diversity. We have to stop saying, hey, this or that, and get together and say, this is what's best for our country.
Yeah.
Whether it's a farmer or whether it's, David Haddad up there at, or Johnny Poole up there at Pops Full Service.
Yeah.
It's whatever's best for all of us. And is it going to hurt? Yeah, it's going to hurt some. And we have to suck it up and say, maybe I can't buy a new iPhone every year. But in the long run, we're going to come out on top because our economy is so strong and so affluent that we are the nation's supermarket.
Yeah.
Okay, so they want to come to sell to us. We're the nation's market. I mean, the world's market. We're the world's market. Every other nation wants to come and sell here. And there's some other markets out there they want to sell to, but we're the primary market.
Yeah.
If we take our market away, they hurt.
Oh, yeah.
So you go to China and say, you want to send a boatload of this stuff over here? Nah, we're going to do without, and we're going to suck it up because I believe in. But where are you going to send that boatload now?
Yeah.
Because you send it to Brazil down there. They don't have the population, and they don't have the wealth to buy the stuff that we do.
That's what I was going to say. That's been the funny thing. Trump, look, there's things he's done that I haven't liked. There's things he's done that I've really liked. And I think on the trade, I think where his business savvy shines is in that department, because that's kind of like, man, he did some stuff like even with when he came out with the tariffs and doing this and that. For a minute there, you're kind of like, oh shit, I hope this is going to work.
Yeah.
And then it does. Then they come to the table.
But we all have to band together and say, you know what? It affects me in a different way than it affects you.
Yeah. Well, and that's why
my livelihood is tied to agriculture or whatever, and so it kind of does affect all three of us the same way. But the guy that owns a hardware store, it may affect a little bit different than what it affects us.
Yeah.
But if we can sit up here and say, you know what? As long as I can make a living and I can survive, I can see where this is going to get better.
Yeah.
And my customers, my ag customers, or these people are going to be in better financial shape. So a year, 2, 3 down the road, we're going to be stronger as a nation.
Yeah.
We're going to be stronger as in every way. So we've got to band together. We can't sit up here and say, well, it's like I said earlier, the American public is all for you until it costs me.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that's why we always try to highlight something American made. And, I remember when we first started doing that, we would say, now it's a little more expensive.
Yeah.
We don't even do that anymore because it's like, okay, it is more expensive. Honestly, like I expect to pay more for American made. I also have enough American made stuff at this point that I can tell you the quality is 90% of the time it's better.
So you're paying a higher price, not because it's American made. You're paying a higher price because it's a better quality.
Yes.
So it's not made with slave labor.
It could be. That could be the fact. But most of the time, if you lay out a set of whatever it is, and you just have American made versus another foreign made object, the American made has a better quality.
Yeah.
Now I'll tell you this. And there are some foreign-made things that are better quality than American-made.
Japanese glass and scopes is like...
Absolutely.
I think it's considered kind of like the cream of the crop.
So, back in the day when we had a Briggs & Stratton versus a Honda motor, Honda was a Japanese company, far and away a better product.
Yeah.
And did we pay a premium for it? Yep, gladly.
Yeah.
You put a Briggs & Stratton on the back of your water trailer, and after about a month having it, you're pulling your liver out, cussing and doing everything else, and you buy a Honda and it cranks.
Yeah.
So
I put a Honda whenever Mr. Cookie jackknifed my water trailer and busted the motor. I put a big 390 Honda on there. Thing's bad to the bone, man.
Yeah. But you don't mind paying pay a premium for it because it's a better quality product.
Yep.
And it's nothing against Briggs & Stratton.
Yep.
It was just a better quality product. So it's the same thing with American made. I'm not paying a premium because it's American made. I'm paying a premium because it's a better product.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's what we look at it. But as a country as a whole, we need to look at that. So if Honda can make a better motor than what we can, how can they?
Yeah.
Can we import that into here? And if we can, that thing. But if we can't, it's okay. Say, okay, Japan, we're going to buy Honda Motors from you.
Yeah.
But you need to buy soybeans from us, or you need to buy corn from us, or pork, or cattle, or whatever it may be.
Well, see, and I think from a capitalist standpoint, right now, with things being so expensive, in my mind, and maybe I'm thinking about this wrong, but I imagine it's a good time for a guy to start an American-made company, though, that actually makes affordable things. Like I'm thinking of ag specifically. I mentioned the equipment. I'd love to see that, an affordable equipment company. But not just that. Seed, chemical, fertilizer. All that stuff is so high. I don't know how you even get... Man, corn. I planted a lot of corn this year. Actually, probably more corn than I've ever planted. And I love growing corn. I remember, man, this has been probably 8 or 9 years ago, which in the grand scheme is not that long ago. But I used to buy a bag of corn. It was, I think, 17 BHR 49 or something, I think may have been the number. The company that made it, I don't even think makes it anymore. It got bought out by like Pioneer or somebody. But you could get a bag of it for $177. And that is dirt cheap. And this corn was not going to shell 200 bushel an acre. It would shell 150 bushels on the best ground you got. But it would shell 135 on concrete. Yeah. Like, it was going to shell. It didn't matter if it got no rain. You were going to be guaranteed 135 bushel. And back, 8, 9 years ago, even back then, it's like, well, if I can be guaranteed, because I had some ground that it's like, I got some pretty poor ground. If I can guarantee that, it's worth it. So, but now, hell, a standard bag of corn is about $315, $320 a bag.
So I can remember when I got out of college in 1994 and we were farming, and at that time you could buy clean seed, go to the place and you buy Hutchinson soybeans, and we bought them in bushel bags, which were 60-pound bags.
Yeah.
You might pay $15 a bag.
Really?
Yeah. But now there were no Roundup Ready, there were no, none of the genetic stuff in there. That's the other thing. I don't mind paying a premium
for a premium product. I also, but if I'm gonna pay a premium to everybody. Yeah.
And I said this the last time we were on here back in the winter before 2025. What I'd like to see Trump do is go to I'm gonna say Monsanto, but they're really owned by Bayer.
Yeah.
Go to Bayer and say, all right, you want to sell in the United States? Let's level the playing field. Are you charging the same tech fees in Brazil? Because that's our biggest competitor.
Yeah.
Are you charging the same tech? Well, no, because their political climate, whatever. Well, then don't sell to them.
Yeah.
Well, they're going to get them anyway. So,
yeah. Why
should we, as the American consumer, bear the brunt of of paying this stuff? Well, it's the technology, and they have to. And I agree, it costs money to develop this stuff. Yeah. Absolutely, it does. But spread the cost to everybody.
And, why are we subsidizing it? Yeah, for folks that aren't paying that at all. Yeah.
They don't pay any technology fee in Brazil, from my understanding.
That's what I understand too. I don't know. I mean, now the funny thing is, and I was looking at a thing on the USDA website. They were talking about research and international farming and whatever. I can remember as a young man in college, sitting at the table with my granddaddy who farmed, and both of them farmed, and they retired back in the 80s and whatever. And he said he was kind of very conservative. World War II. Damn, we sent our damn people over there to damn Brazil and taught them how to farm, and now they're going to put us out of damn business. Which is, that was in the 90s, so almost over 30 years ago, and here we are. We went over there because we're going to feed the world.
Yeah,
I have absolutely no problem with somebody going over there, but what did we do? We went over there and we taught our competitor how to put us out of business.
I've had that conversation with some guys that have been in a long time, and they've said the same thing. They're like, we literally showed our competitors how to beat us.
Mm-hmm. And like, here's the recipe. It's kind of like, if you're Burger King and you're McDonald's, and Burger King's McDonald's outselling, McDonald's got the Big Mac, and it's outselling the Whopper 2-1. Here's our special sauce. They don't do that.
Yeah.
Now, it was a humanitarian thing. We do a lot of it in Africa. Try to go over and teach them how to farm, subsistence farm, do this. Well, we went to Brazil, and them suckers said, well, we can farm. They started clearing the rainforest. They started doing this. And, but the thing is, like I said, the Brazilian people, they don't have the wealth that the United States has. And I'm not saying farmers. I'm saying they do not have the wealth that the population. So you tell them, go down there and buy your corn.
Yeah.
go ahead. But you're not selling your stuff up here to us.
Yeah.
I mean, I pride myself. I try to do business with people that do business with me.
Yeah.
I saw Logan at the farm store yesterday.
Yeah.
Whipped in there and I said, hey, what about some sauerkraut?
Yeah.
You know, and I you know, that's what Logan does. I can't, you know, I'm not buying corn or soybeans or whatever from, but that's something he does, and I try to support that.
Yeah.
You know, my dogs, they go to Bobby Lee, you know, because he had to do, and I don't do business with, I'm not gonna say everybody I do business with is where I go, but I try, if you do business with me, Johnny Poole, I write his insurance up here at Pops. He changes my oil.
Yep.
He does, you know, that's where I go. It's not a question. Is he, I don't even know if he's cheaper. He does a great job.
Yeah.
I've never price shopped it.
I get him to do my oil changes. I usually go about 7,000 miles over.
Yeah.
And then I get him to do them.
Right.
When my little light goes off, it's like, you need to add oil. I'm like, oh, I better get this up to Johnny's. No, and I'm the same way. That's, you know, I've mentioned them. I think I mentioned them last episode. Mount Zion Bakery up here in Munford. Man, they got the best freaking cookies. We sell them our eggs.
Yeah.
They buy eggs from us every week. Every Friday night at some point, I'm going to be in there buying a bunch of cookies.
Well, I mean, and I'm glad to know that, because if I'll try to go by there, because if they support you, you know, and like I said, there's
solid.
some things, I may not sell insurance to, say, a car lot.
Yeah.
But if I sell insurance to a guy that works at the car lot, then I'm going to try to support him, you know, or if I know that Johnny does work for such and such car lot, then that's the one that I...
And you ain't going to show up and you're going to say, hey, man, what's my discount?
Yeah. I never, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, and I hate that. I really do. I mean, because, you know, people ask me, well, you know, you going to give me a good price on my insurance? I'm going to get you the best price I possibly can. That's my job.
It makes me want to say,
I'm not going to give you a discount because you're my buddy.
Yeah, it makes me want to say, do you, when you buy your shit from these companies that you don't know anybody there, do you write them an email before you buy from them and be like, hey, what's the discount?
Yeah, no. My favorite thing is, and I've done it to myself, and, you know, I'm very open to all my customers. My customers have a cell phone. They do, but I'm like, sometimes I want to ask them, would you call your banker at 12 o'clock on Saturday afternoon to ask them, say, I'm at the car lot down here and they won't let me leave till I show them proof of insurance. Can you send me an insurance card?
Yeah.
I don't mind doing it at all. If I'm in a place where I can do it or whatever.
Yep.
And most of the time I can't. My own daddy did it to me. I'm up there in Nashville. They won't let me leave till I show them proof of insurance. And I went, well, pull your freaking insurance card out. I don't have it. Okay, you know.
William said, like, he pulls out his Salt Life wallet.
Do you like that?
He been wearing his Salt Life shirts around.
Well, I was at the lake and I didn't buy it because it's Salt Life. Well, last time when we were in Hilton Head, my wife and I did, and I had to go get some of those dry fit shirts, you know, and it was it said Salt Life on it. I said, all right, I got Logan this time. And I was at the lake and I said, I'm representing Salt Life.
Yeah.
At the Tennessee River.
And the good fresh water.
And the good fresh water.
We live so close, yes.
Yeah. All the best, you see cars around here with stickers on the
And you
car.
see a bunch of them.
A bunch of them.
Or
what was it? I want to call it the 901, but it's with the 30A. 30A stickers on all the back of these women's cars, whatever. I went, you about as far away from 30A as you gonna get. You know,
the 30A gets me too, because I'm like, it's like a cult.
Yes.
I've never been there.
I've never been there. I don't even know anything about
nice
it.
beach.
I'm sure it is a nice beach.
I've been there. It's nice.
When are you gonna put your 30A sticker on your car?
I bet the Fancy Philly's got one on her car, doesn't she?
No, we do not. not at all. Got a University of Tennessee alumni sticker.
Yeah,
and I think that's it.
Yeah, I think that is it, because I noticed the car coming by, because you got the Tennessee license plate on the front too. Yeah. Because I'll usually wave, and Kaylin's never paying attention.
Kaylin, she has the right to wear that. You know, that's your secondary school. You know, you gotta have Pacer Proud on there or something.
Oh yeah, well, yeah. So we were the Skyhawks when I was there.
Well, we were the Pacers when I were there.
Really?
I remember the Pacers. Yeah,
the Pacer Pride.
Pacer Pride. No, I didn't even know that one.
Yes.
So what's, because you obviously talk to a lot of people across ag, you know, operators, whatnot. What's everybody's mindset, you know, going forward next 2, 3, 5 years? I mean,
get into selling cocaine. That's
I'm gonna tell you this. It's really, really scary, I believe. I started Logan and I've had a lot of conversations. last fall, well, I'd say about this time last year, I started getting really, really worried. Prices were dumped. You know, crop was, you can tell by the looks of it, and I'm like, we're in trouble. We're in real trouble. And went into this spring, very little optimism. You know, it's like, hey, let me just see what I can do to hang on. I mean, corn is my best bet, or this or that. You know, this is what I'm gonna do to hang on. I've had some conversations with some guys that are older than me. So I'm 54, and they're older than me, and they're like, look, and I'm talking about generational farms, whose sons are still farming with them. They said, look, I'm here to tell you, if next spring looks like this spring did, and he said, we're going to have some hard conversations around my place.
Yeah.
You know, and then I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, you know, my boys are here farming with me, but I don't know how long we can continue to fund this. You know, and do I want to sit here and farm every bit of equity or every bit of things that I have, and, you know, to try to continue this, because I see no bright spot after this. You know, what we've had the last 2 years, and we've gone through this before. In the early 2000s, we went through this. It's not like I had a bad crop because of a drought or a disease or whatever. I had a decent crop, but I don't have a price.
Yeah.
And that's not getting any better.
Right. There's nothing on the horizon.
There's nothing on the horizon saying, hey, we're going, you know, if I do a good job, and I do what I'm supposed to do, and I make an average, just an average yield, what I normally do, I can make a living with this. I can't do that.
Well, you know, the thing that I've said because that's where me and Dad have talked about that, and other people, and I'm like, everyone talks about it, you know, it's a roller coaster of highs and lows, highs and lows, highs and lows. And typically you hit a low, and you leverage yourself to the max just to try to survive. And then about the time you get out of it, you're about due for the next drop. Yeah. But the problem is Brazil. Mm-hmm. And that's what I've been telling people. I'm like, the thing that scares me is we got a player in the game that has not been involved like they are now.
So Brazilian, for people that don't realize, the Brazilian agriculture, they can grow 2 crops a year.
Yeah.
They can plant a crop of soybeans, cut the crop of soybeans, and plant a crop of corn right behind that, which they call it something else, and then shell the corn. Corn's a new player for them. They've been cotton and soybeans, you know, they're cotton. But with the right trade deals, like I said, I really think, I'm not saying Trump, if our government would come in here and say, all right, we want to trade with you. We need you. We need your products just like you need our products. But we're not going to come in here and unload a shipload of your stuff, and then the ship is empty, and it goes down to Brazil and picks up
a bunch of their grain,
and comes back to you. So, you know, now whatever we have to do to make that right, you know, if their product, whatever it's got to be, but I mean, I'm gonna do business with you because you do business with me. Yeah. You know, like I said, I mean, I give Bobby Lee shit about how much money, you know, he charges me on the flea pills, but I still come every time. Yeah. You know, and I mean, I'm just giving him shit because it's fun, but I don't care. I mean, I do care to a certain extent.
You don't care. You can go up a little higher.
He doesn't need any incentives.
Hell, we're competing with everybody else.
Right. Y'all are competing with everybody. You know, you're at a price level. You're able to look at your business and say, I've got to be competitive. Yeah. I have to be competitive. If I came out here and I said, look, let me quote your farm insurance, and you said, okay, the crop insurance, we're all competitive because we're subsidized by the government. Everybody's the same price. Yeah. We sell our service. But if I came out here and I said, look, let me quote your farm insurance, and you said, okay, and I came in and let's just say I'm $1,500 higher than what you're paying now. And you might sit there and say, look, I like William. He does a really good job. I'm willing to pay a premium because I support it. But if I come in here and I'm $15,000 higher, you like me, but you don't like me that much. And I understand.
And then I'd be like, damn, I don't think William likes me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's, you know, it's the market we live in, whatever. Yep. So you have to be competitive, you know, on the same thing. And you're going to source your supplies and your suppliers to allow you to be competitive in this market. Yeah. You know, and that's how you run a business, and you're competitive. Now, like I said, I give him shit because it's fun to give him shit. But like I said, I'm not going to say, hey, Bobby Lee, we're cool, man. How about a discount, man? You know, cut me a break. I don't ask that. Yeah. And I understand that that's the way the world, and we can haggle and daggle if you want to, but pay the price, pay the man, you know?
The people that ask us that, or the people that are like, hell, I've spent so much money in here. I paid for half this edition. It never fails. They're always ones like, buddy, you're not even close to like my top 100 clients.
Yeah.
Like, it's always those.
Well, my favorite one is like, so you're the one that I have to call every month and make sure they pay their bill. You know.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and I have some great customers, and I mean everybody. Most of my customers are agriculture, and yes, they're great people. They really, really are, and it's a tight time frame.
Yeah.
Can I tell you what the answer is? I really don't. We've got to have some price differences. What can we do to make the price go up? I don't know. What can we do to make the cost of inputs go down? I don't know. I have some, but that's just it.
Well, that's like, the payments and everything. It's like all that does is allows, all those inputs and everything
to go up.
Yeah, that money never ends up actually in the farmer's pocket.
So 7 or 8 years ago, and I'd have to look back, going into the fall, I was starting the crop insurance. Beans were like $9.
Yeah.
Okay. And I mean, it wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, I remember.
It was like maybe 6, 7 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Beans were like $9 going into and I had some. I can't make no money on $9 soybeans. Oh, guess what? A combine at that time was $250,000.
Yeah.
A tractor you could buy a good tractor for $150.
Yep.
Or
$100,000. Yeah.
Or $75.
Hell,
the cost of inputs have gone up so much that it's like, Logan and I had a conversation back there early in the spring. What do we have to do? I said, Logan, you've got to get your cost per acre down.
Yeah.
What I said, you have no control over the seed, chemical, and fertilizer. That's a market price. I mean, yes, you can shop around, you can do some things.
And they're all going to be pretty damn close.
Yeah. I said, you've got to try to get your cost per acre down. Whether you have to refinance some equipment, whether you have to sell some equipment, whether you have to look at some different things of operating, you've got to get your cost per acre down. What do you think the average equipment cost in West Tennessee per acre is?
It's probably, I'm going to say between $80 and $100.
$125 to $175 an acre.
Ooh, $175. Damn, man. How in the hell are they paying that?
I mean, it's just because we had some really good years at post-COVID. We had Trump money. We had good prices. Young farmers did what they were supposed to do. They invested their money back in their operation and make their operation better, make it more efficient.
And now it's beating our ass.
Because now they have all these payments on this better and more efficient stuff that's like, oh, shit.
And you can't get rid of some of it.
No.
Hey, I'm right there. Again, me and you've talked a lot about this, and it's this is my 11th season, I guess, running my own operation, and I remember the $9 that I would have been, I'd have been 4 years or 5 years in, and at the time I actually wasn't large enough that it actually really affected me a lot. I still did okay, but I wasn't smothered in equipment debt, and so now. Yeah, I mean, I've grown a lot. I'm working a whole lot more acres. It's what my goal was to pick up more ground. Well, I've picked up more ground. Well, to effectively farm that ground, you got to have the equipment to do so. And so, yeah, man, the equipment traded up combines. Combine right now, you can't get nothing for a combine. Like even, they're losing or taking a terrible hit on brand new combines.
Sure.
You drive by, when I went to Missouri the other day, I drove by Tennessee Tractor up here. There's nothing there. Like there ain't hardly any equipment in the lot. And I mean, I talked to my buddy that's salesman there. He was like, we ain't selling anything. He was like, nobody's buying anything. And he said, it's awful. And
we blame the big bad equipment company. But the big bad equipment company is taking an ass whooping just like we are.
Oh, yeah. They are.
I mean, I'd heard at one time, I forgot, there was some crazy number that they were paying interest a month on their floor plan. Now, they may have had, well, I don't know how many locations this tractor has, 7, 10, whatever it is. But at one time, I mean, I was hearing like $70,000 a month. And I don't know if that's true or not. But, I mean, you start thinking about, I mean, Okay, so but you think, okay, well they got 10 stores, $70,000 a month. That's $7,000 a month. Well, you try to, so you've got to overcome that 7,000. That's a dead expense.
Oh yeah. Well, I was reading a successful farming put out an article there. Maybe I don't know. It's been several months ago, and it was a dude, and it sounded like I'd actually like to talk to this guy, but it sounded like he was in a similar boat like I am, where he had pretty nice equipment and he could effectively handle what he had. He hadn't gone like overboard, because that's what, that's been the hard part for me. I'm trying to lean down an operation that I really don't feel is very bloated. Mm-mm. And so it's like, yeah, you kind of cripple yourself a little bit to lean down. But this dude, he had gone to old equipment.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And like, look, you're gonna work, but what he would do is basically during the winter, he bought like some old tractors, old planters and stuff, and he just rebuilds them. Mm-hmm. And I mean, you're gonna have an initial burst of expense in the rebuild process, but he said that, like, he actually, in the article, he said that it returned the love for farming that he had, because he wasn't smothered in equipment debt. And he was like, and when something did break, I could actually work on it. I knew how to fix it.
So, I mean, if you buy a $10,000 planter and you spend $15,000 making it where it's very efficient.
Yeah.
Okay, you got $25,000 in a planter that a new planter now costs $400.
You're paying that. That's less than your yearly note.
Right.
On that planter.
Right.
And I can tell you that stuff breaks down too.
Oh, absolutely.
That's the problem. Like, I've got equipment that is financed that still breaks down, mm-hmm. and then I'm paying a note and I'm paying tech fees because you can't work on them. Mm-hmm. I mean, now everything is electrical.
Yeah.
Like everything. Like my planter, he went down on me 2 years ago. Hell, I had no earthly idea what the hell was going on, and it was the ECU. Like ECU had burned up. And that ECU was like $2,300.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm like, damn. I mean, so.
Unless you got a computer that you can plug up to it. And then, all right, so I have a computer. I got a computer. Well,
yeah.
You got to have the software.
Yep.
And the software is proprietary. So if you're not a case dealer, you can't have the software. Or you can buy it bootleg out there for
$15,000.
$15,000.
Yeah.
And that's for techs that are doing it. Well, I mean, and I'm sure there's some big operators that can afford that software.
Yeah.
Well, I got a question for you. My good friend Bobby Lee here. So, I follow a lot of ag economy stuff. I read the Ag Economist, whatever. I read a statement the other day that said, if it wasn't for the livestock sector of agriculture, we would be in a depression. And I fully well appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, the beef cattle boys, especially the cow-calf operation, are making it hand over fist. Correct?
They're doing better than they have been,
mm-hmm.
for sure.
But now, if I think, them livestock boys, man. Well, you have to also, on we were talking about some LRP stuff when we come in here. But your feeder calf operation is not making any more money because it costs you more to get in.
Oh yeah, well that's our thing, and which we just sold ours this week, and I got a check in the mail today.
You've already sold your steer?
We did it different this year. We turned them quicker. We pushed a little more feed to them. They weren't quite as big as, I mean, they never are. It's what we're hoping to be. But
you want to get another set?
Our plan is right now, if I had to decide, like maybe middle of September we'll buy another set.
So what a lot of people do is, do it. Y'all used to do it. Buy them in the spring, sell them in the fall, like late, mid, early fall,
yeah.
like for the grass play.
We sold them like Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
First year or two. Yeah.
So, and you were fattening them on grass with very little cost and very little feed. So your return was basically the weight that you gained on them. You had very little cost in that.
Yeah, just our grass.
Your grass. So, but a lot of people will do it, and they'll feed them for 60 to 90 days, and they're blowing feed to them. You have a higher cost, but you're finishing them faster.
And that's kind of what we did, but because of commodity prices on the grain side.
Yeah, it's so cheap.
Feed is cheap. Feed is cheap. Cattle are high. And I talk to people like, if you really want to get through them, and I got to put the exact pencil to all my inputs, but I'm extremely confident in saying it's the best I've ever done on a set of calves, and I only had them for 4 months.
Yeah, bring some more in. I mean, that's what a lot of these.
Well, we're fescue based like most people, so this, fescue's not doing a whole lot which we still got plenty of grass because hell, I won't quit raining. But I probably gonna hold off. I don't want to bring in a bunch of sale barn calves when it's hotter than hell, and I don't want to get hotter than hell. But yeah, sickness.
All the luxuries of the part-time farmer that is a doctor of veterinary medicine.
Yeah.
Logan and I'll be like, all right, let's run the thing over here and try to spread out some manure. Let's bring a mix set in. We got to pay for this rascal.
Oh, yeah. I'd be like, I ain't got the cash to do this, so we got to get this shit to turn around.
That's the other thing. We were looking at just the interest I paid because I bought most of mine. That we had some homegrown ones, and I bought some last fall that I didn't borrow any money to buy. I was like, damn it, interest, like, it'd be real nice if I was stout enough where I didn't have to borrow any money to buy them, because like shit, I forget. I had to put a pencil to it what we paid per head just in our interest.
Probably what, 8%?
Yeah. On $100,000 for the last 4 months.
Yeah.
As soon as that check
that's
gets
not
in the
much.
bank.
That's not much.
Oh, compared to. But as soon as that check hits the bank tomorrow, and it shows up my account, I'm going to transfer.
Absolutely.
Pay that line of credit off. I see that interest like per day, and I'm like, God dang! Like,
I looked at a thing today. Guy asked me about buying a farm, and I got a computer program. I punched the numbers in there. 30 years, like $150,000 farm. This is 10 acres, or whatever, 20 acres, whatever it was. $150,000. What we determined the value of it was. I think it was 30 acres, $150,000, about $5,000 an acre. He was paying, it was a monthly note of $936 a month.
Shit.
$12,000 a year.
Yeah.
It broke down principal and interest.
oh yeah,
How much of that was interest?
Like $936 is like $136 was principal and $800 a month is interest.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I was like, man, for this kind of money, I said, crunch it down to 10 years. What would my payment be? Well, not a whole lot more. I mean, it's really not a whole lot more.
Yeah.
It may have been $5,000 more.
Yeah.
A year. So instead of paying 12, you're paying 17. And on a small scale, you can do that. Like if you're buying $1 million farm, obviously you can't. That the payment would be a lot more. But I'm sitting there going, and then you got it done. You're saving it. Yeah. So I have several friends that are in the banking industry, and we were talking about ag loans. And the boy was telling me, he said, I hate ag loans. He said, the most least profitable loans we do. And I went, really? He said, yeah, they only borrow them for a year. And I went, He said, I loan $1 million on an ag loan, and they pay for it a year. 12, if it's 8%, that's what, $80,000. He said, do $1 million over 30 years and see what the interest rate is on it. I went, you paid interest on 4 months for 4 months. 8% for 4 months, but you didn't, you break that down, 8% divided by 12 times 4. I mean, what did you pay? I don't know. I can't do the math in my head, but it's not a whole lot. Now, it's a lot compared to what we're used to, and it's interest. But as far as you're looking at compatibility towards a bank, bank's like, man, I'm not making any money doing that. I mean, they are making money, but they're not. They can put that same $100,000 to somebody's house, and do a 20-year note on it, and think about the interest is on a 30-year house note. You basically double your pay.
So you're paying for the house twice,
right?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. No, I don't know, man. It's
that's why I recommend anybody, like on equipment, a car or anything, pay extra.
Yeah.
You get that little bit of extra to knock that principal down every month.
You're a big movie person. You ever seen the movie The Big Short?
Yeah, is that
I've seen it.
Who's in that? Yeah, I know I have.
Christian Bale.
That's right. Yeah.
They were talking, and they showing, it was like during the 2008 or 7,
the housing crisis. They shorted the housing market.
Yeah, they shorted the housing market.
They were crazy
because the mortgage loan was the most secure loan there was out there. Because that was the last thing they were going to default on. They didn't want to lose their house. Yeah. So, and the federal government did, some things where they were trying to promote housing and give some favorable. Same thing. And these guys were out here. They were loaning money. These bankers out here loaning money to anybody and everybody that wanted. They could. Hey, you want to buy a house? They went down to Florida and saw the stripper, and she goes, "I got 3 houses." Yeah. And
Steve Carell.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt's in there.
It's a great movie.
It is a good movie.
Oh yeah.
Yep. And because it explains
it in a long time.
And you sit there and look at it and go. The bank was doing is the bank would go out here and they'd loan the money to Bobby Lea and say, I know you can't pay for this. Hell, I mean, you make $20,000 a year, and I'm gonna sell you $150,000 or $300,000 house.
Yeah.
But then I'm gonna turn around and sell the paper to somebody else, You know, I'll loan you $150,000, and I'm gonna sell the paper for $170. I get my $150, and I make $20 on it. But on the lifetime, I would have made $150.
Yeah.
I'm selling the paper to this other person, and they're gonna hold it, and so they're thinking they're gonna make $120 because it's the most secure loan out there. And you know, they were shorting this market, and it just bit them, and that's what caused the housing crisis.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
It was a good movie because.
But it's the same thing in ag right now. Is what we're doing is, and I hate to sit up here and say it's the gremlin of deer, of bear, of Cortiva, whatever. We've done it to ourselves, you know. And will deer get back right? Yeah, because they're taking a bloodbath right now.
Yeah.
I mean, they really are.
Yeah.
Cortiva get back right. We're going to have to hold these guys' feet to the fire and say, just like we are China or Indonesia or India, says, you want this you want us to buy this, you buy this.
Yeah.
Same thing with deer or bear. You want to sell us seed? Well, guess what? We want to pay the same price they pay in Brazil.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Let's level the playing field here.
Well, and deer, they build a combine that they sell overseas. I don't even remember the number. I've mentioned it on here before. I don't know, like SL 200 or something, and it ain't the monsters that we got here, but it's a brand new combine, and it costs probably an eighth of the cost.
Yeah.
But you got, again, the big thing is it's all new. You got new bearings. All the stuff that wears out and goes down on a combine, you don't have that because these are brand new.
Do y'all ever watch on this Prime Video, Clarkson Farm?
I love it.
I love it. I've gotten
hilarious.
Conley, my daughter, who helps me in the crop insurance, said, you need to watch. First of all, it's hysterical because
It is.
he's not afraid to make fun of himself.
Yeah.
And it's a lay person that has come to the farm and try to do the farm.
And he's rich as hell.
And he says numerous times on every season, I am so lucky that I don't have to rely on the farm for my income.
Yeah.
But you know, if I did, and he's trying to help our community in England, and they've done some things. You know, we're going to pay you to plant this stuff, or regenerative agriculture and some different things like that. And is it a bad program? You know, in some ways, no. In some ways, yes. You know, it's and you see the inner struggle with the other farmers that come in there. Yeah. But it's still so damn fun.
I love
I recommend
that show.
for anybody. But it is an ag education thing.
Yeah.
And I somebody asked me the other day, said, what do you think? You know, like, just kind of like what you did, Bobby. Asked me, said, what do you think the future is? I don't know right now. I mean, I kind of feel like I hope our food in the United States is a national security issue, just like you were talking about the screwworm. I mean, we cannot rely on another country for our food, fiber, and our food and fiber. But we're in a position now that how long can we continue to go and be below cost of production?
Yeah.
And I don't care who you are, how lean you are, how good you are.
Eventually, you that dries up.
It does. I mean, it's like you're talking about the guy that running the older equipment and doing this and doing that. Yeah, but eventually that stuff wears out. And then you've got the call. I mean, you can't get parts for it. I mean, I can go buy. I mean, I've got a good customer that runs a lot of 60 series tractors, 49 60s, and 60 series tractors. Does a phenomenal job. One of the best farmers I have. But he farms about 1,400 acres. He controls his costs and a lot of times that away. But there's going to come a point in time where it's not reliable, and you're going to have to upgrade, and you're going to have to do something.
That's what I got a buddy that does. He works about the same amount of acreage as me, maybe a little less, and he has no equipment costs at all.
Right.
And I was talking to him the other day, and we were talking about last year, and I said, how'd you do last year? And he was like, to be honest with you, I actually had one of the best years I've ever had.
Really?
Yeah. And I said, damn, really? And he was like, yeah, which he had a lot of corn. Mm-hmm. He said, I went corn heavy. He said, most people were opposite. Mm-hmm. He said, and I made some of the best corn I've ever had.
Right.
And he said, he said, I legitimately don't have a single equipment cost. He said, now everything I got is wore out. Mm-hmm. And he said, at some point, I'm going to have to upgrade equipment. I mean, and so he's like, now, I guess in that scenario, you just upgrade to newer old equipment.
Right.
I mean, you're going to...
Instead of buying
a brand new...
a used combine for $400,000, he's buying a used combine for $150,000.
Yep.
You know, and he's buying a $45,000-$50,000 tractor. Let's just have, you know, if he's buying an older John Deere or older Case, you know, they get down to a point and it's like they don't go any lower. It's like
Yep.
30 to 50,000 or whatever. And there's some of that still out there, and you got to be careful. And if you're, you know, if you don't put a lot of pressure on, like I said, you're at your size and you don't put a lot of pressure on it, and you
Yep.
can do that. Hey, it works for you.
Yep. It
But
does.
you can't take that stuff out there and try to farm 4,000 acres.
No. All right, let me get our commander-in-chief, our former commander-in-chief. Yeah, I actually watched an auction today. They had a 4960 in it today. I think it went for like, now it had a lot of hours on it, but it looked pretty good, looked decent. It sold for like 19.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm like, man.
$19,000 for a 8,000-hour tractor. You know?
Yeah, and it had, and you know, front-wheel drive. That was a big thing. It had front-wheel, because man, I ain't going back to a two-wheel drive tractor.
No, and you know, but the other thing, Logan, is you also got to look on some of this old equipment. Can they handle the capacity of like your planter that you have?
The hydraulics would be a problem.
It would be, but
Yep.
I mean, so if you went to a ground-driven planter.
Yep, like a Kinsey or something. Yeah. All right, here we go.
Let me start off with 2 words. Made in America.
All right, you've done this before. Now you see we're putting you on the spot 3 times now.
Yeah, I looked it up. 146, almost a year ago, was your last appearance. For those of y'all wanting to go back.
So that's almost, that's 50 episodes ago or
almost.
something.
It was like August the 10th last year.
Yeah. All right.
So, made in America.
Dang, it's been a year almost since he's been on here. Wow, that's crazy.
So, since we have been the 4th of July, you know, I'm going to go with an ag product, you know, of Bryan Foods. You know, they used to be in Mississippi, but it's a food group, you know.
Okay.
It's the Bryan ham or whatever, and I think it was bought by, it's probably owned by a foreign company, but it is made in the United States. Maybe foreign owned, but it's made in the United States.
Yeah.
You know,
They make the ham. I think I said B-R-Y-A-N.
B-R-Y-A-N. It was, you know, it used to be in like West Point, Mississippi.
Yeah.
And you know, it's so, and that's the other thing. I don't care that we have foreign investment here.
Yeah.
And their dollars spend just like ours do.
Yeah.
Now, I think that we should control that, and they should, but as long as they operate under our laws and our conditions, who cares?
Yeah.
You know, they're paying American people.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
They're doing.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Like, would you rather buy, you know, it's an American company,
Right.
But everybody's
everything's made overseas, you know, like
Bobby Lee's
Nike.
like, do they have a lot of Jews that work for them? Because if they do, I'm not buying from them.
Well, Jews can be American.
Absolutely.
Oh, I know. You just hate Jews, though. I was just talking about Jews in general.
You're right.
Yeah.
I got.
Okay, I don't know about this anti-Semitic stuff. You know,
Yeah, I got to stay in
the Hamas
character.
is going to be, you know,
Coming. We have a couple listeners.
Mossad, the Mossad.
Mossad, yeah. Hamas is that's the Palestinian thing. Yeah, I can't keep up with all of them. There you go, Brian Hams. William, thanks for joining us.
Thank y'all for having me.
Won't be the last.
I hope not.
Guys, we need you to do a couple things for us. We need you to leave us a rating and a review. Leave us 5 stars wherever you listen, Spotify, Apple, Audible. If you listen on Audible, we're on Audible too.
There you go.
We had like 1 rating on Audible. So somebody does listen to us on Audible.
Thank you, whoever you are.
Yes, you are awesome.
Absolutely.
So leave us ratings wherever you do listen. If you're watching on YouTube, leave us a comment below. Let us know your thoughts on this episode, and hit the like button, hit subscribe. Again, go to talkdirtpodcast.com and submit your questions to us on the contact page. And
agzaga.com, just like my hat says, if you're watching on YouTube or Rumble, discount code TalkDirt20, like I said at the top, $20 off a $50 order and free shipping. That applies to everything, the big bulky items. You know, they've got the quick hitches.
Yep.
They got the sprayers. They've got, you know, getting into more implements. The bell nut wrap will always be one of their big ones. But yeah, check them out. agzaga.com.
There you go. All right, guys. Thanks, William.
Thank y'all.
We'll catch y'all next week.